through a door or something?
Trying to be Batman.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to September 23rd, 2025 Board of Police Commissioners meeting. We acknowledge that we are on traditional lands of Treaty 4 territory, a treaty signed with 35 First Nations across southern Saskatchewan and parts of Alberta and Manitoba, and the original lands of Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and on the homeland of Métis Nation. The city of Regina owes its strength and vibrancy to these lands and the diverse Indigenous people whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory, as well as the settlers from around the world who continue to be welcomed here and call Regina home. The first item is on the agenda is approval of public agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, hearing none, carried. Next item is approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting held on August 26, 2025? If anybody noticed any errors or omissions, I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Carried. All right. Our first item in the business is PO 25-25 School Resource Officers Review. Acting Chief Davis, can you please introduce the report?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. So our first report is a report on the School Resource Officer Program. We have Sergeant Todd Jerome, who is the sergeant in charge of our School Resource Officer Unit, and he will provide us a little bit of an overview of the program and next steps after the review that was undertaken in the last year or so.
Better? So the School Resource Officer Partnership provides education and guidance, builds relationship, and participates in school community building engagements to effectively respond and support diversity of the students, teachers, and staff in the Regina schools. Police officer, the SRO as police officers, the SRO provides school support through prevention, enforcement, and investigation. The following are the SRO program goals. I'll just quickly go through them. Through engagement, foster positive relationships between youth and police. Assists in the creation and maintenance of an inclusive and safe school environment. Be a resource to school-based professionals in relation to school community and police work. Provide individual and school-wide assistance to students regarding the function of police in the community. The governance structure was established, which consists of the following: a leadership team and a collaborative action table CAT team. So within those CAT teams, there's 6 different groups that we've come up with. The first one is governance, leadership, and reporting. They just focus on strategic leadership and framework, outlines the mandates, goals, as well as the roles and responsibilities of the partners. Next group is human resource process and selection. So we reviewed the current process for the recruitment and selection, considered consideration of competences and skills. And we seek representative of all stakeholders in the RPS School Resource Officers selection process. So we had a competition last year for one school resource officer position. We invited Regina Catholic School Division and Regina Public School Division to sit in on our interviews. And that was received very well through all partnerships. The third group is training, so review current practices and identify training opportunities that are responsive to the current needs of partnership organizations. Accountability actions are intended to be learning opportunities for SRO students, families, and staff. An example of this would be orientation presentations by SROs. Priority action include relationship building, positive exposure, and leveraging existing knowledge and expertise. Next group is practical applications and operations. So review and identified ways that SRO could improve their ability to provide and educate with guidance. Effectively respond to and support the diversity of students, teachers, and staff in Regina schools by building relationships and participation in school community building engagements. Communication is the next group, so reviewed and identified goals that would allow 3 partners to better communicate with stakeholders, the role of achievement of SRO programs in schools. We've done a really good job with that, with the assistance of media, getting the events that we attend to within the schools out in social media so people know what the SROs are doing in the community. Enhance communication strategies with all partners. And the last group is monitor accountability, so solidify commitment to advancing the mandate of the SRO program through achievement of the CAT actions and progress status. That all being said, I think you guys have most of that information. Just a couple of things from the SRO program. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the city of Regina with going to Glen Elm School and Balfour Collegiate, and we had 3 great SROs during my time, and I still am in contact with a few of them. But I find that when you're within the school and you're in uniform, sometimes that's teenagers don't want to come up and talk to you at that time. You're in a uniform, so we get out and we're out there speaking with the students, and they warm up to you a little bit. But it's really when 10 years down the road, when you're walking in the mall and you see these students that maybe were on a bit of a wrong path, and they've come into your office and they were seeking guidance and they're just looking for somebody to talk to. And you see these people 10 years down the road and they're married and they have careers, and they come up to you and then they're like, at that time I was constable, it'd be Constable Todd, how have you been? And they just give you your whole life story at that time. So it's a really rewarding position. I was an SRO for 3 years back in 08, 9, and 10. And just the reason I know these is because I've spoke to HR people and have seen these officers within the RPS. I think during my 3 years I was at Balfour and Sheldon, there was 12 people that became police officers in that 3-year span. So there's, I think, 10 of them here at RPS, 1 in Moose Jaw, 1 in Saskatoon. So I think it's a very good program where the review's been good. We've sharpened some things up, and moving forward, I think it's in a really good position to work within the community.
Thank you, Sergeant, for your report. Does the board have any questions?
Yeah, not a question, just a comment. Nothing but great reviews for this program. I know it's a staple of Regina Police Service, I would say. So thanks for all the hard work and on this program and all the officers involved. I think it makes a big difference in our students' lives for sure. Thank you for that.
Thank you for the support.
If there are no further questions, can I have a motion to receive and file the report, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item is PO 25-26, Aero Program.
You bet. Well, we are fortunate to have Sergeant Lori Alexander here this morning. She is going to give us an overview of the Alternative Response Officer Program and our downtown safety team. As you know, this is a relatively new program and concept for us, and so we thought it was important to share with the board and the public the successes we have seen since the introduction of this program. So I'll turn it over to Sergeant Alexander.
Thank you. So I'm giving an update on the downtown safety team. I think it's important to understand we began with the Alternative Response Officer Program, and then in November of 24 is when they hit the street. And then shortly after that, in January of 25, we developed the downtown safety team. And that was just a combination of adding 8 sworn members to work alongside the alternative response officers to provide oversight and partnership because of the mandates being a little bit different. They have partnered together and created the downtown safety team. So the statistics I'll give you is a combination of that. From the implementation of the program through April 1st. So our downtown safety team is a combination of 8 sworn officers who work alongside the AROs. To date, the ARO program has attended to over 757 calls for service, given 560 warnings, transported 250 people to the complex needs shelter, and worked with 131 people, moving them to community shelters. We also provide medical assistance to around 43 people, and then we do referrals to other services as well. We've been working collaboratively with the Regina Street team and the Regina Clean team. We provide overwatch to the Clean team as they do their duties on 11th Avenue and while they tend to bus shelters in the area. We've made over 2,000 business contacts. Half of these are at the Cornwall Centre. We've transported about 61 prisoners and attended up to 110 community events. We've also seen consistent increase in requests for safety presentations to our business partners in the downtown area. We've rendered very positive feedback. Employees are citing that they feel safer and better about officer presence in the downtown area, and they're confident in the strategies they've learned in these safety sessions when walking to vehicles and being downtown. We've had approximately 9,550 community interactions. The vast majority of these are with unhoused population, about 60% is what they're reporting, followed by addictions, unwanted guests, intoxicated persons, and then mental health calls. Throughout the summer months, requests for presence at community events has increased dramatically. We've attended several events, including Hearts in the Park, the Regina Farmers Market, the Highland Games, Good Morning Regina Breakfast, the Regina Queen City Exhibition, Ladybug Day in the Park, McDonald's McHappy Day, the Glen Elm Library Driven to Read event, SGI bicycle safety courses, the Regina Public Library Family Fun Zone, and then I Love Regina Day. We've also attended various protests downtown as well. Our entire downtown safety team are LIBA bike trained. They conduct a combination of vehicular, bicycle, and foot traffic throughout the summer months, patrol throughout the summer months. It includes projects with riding on city transit buses. We continue to focus on officer visibility in high traffic areas downtown, which includes Victoria Park. With respect to investigative support, the AROs have assisted both patrol and our investigative services division in crime scene security, translation services for provincial ICE investigations, transports for ISD projects. They've identified suspects and done a lot of video retrieval on investigations. Specifically, the ARO program, they've been instrumental in the successful investigation and arrest of suspects related to an aggravated assault of a security officer at the Southland Mall, an attempted murder and shooting at the Regina Public Library, and solved a rash of break-in enters on Scar Street businesses. On July the 25th, our second class of ARO recruits completed in-service training and transitions to 8 weeks of training. They've just recently, this week, they've transitioned on their own. So we now have 4 new ARO candidates currently teamed up with their alternative response officers, and the downtown safety team. This brings our DST personnel to 8 sworn members and 9 AROs, so we have a total of 17 members working downtown. In July, our recruitment process for ARO class number 3 also started, with an anticipated start date of our in-service training in early of January 26. We look forward to bringing our contingent of AROs to a full strength of 14 to 16, and in a combination with 8 sworn members. That's the information I have for you.
Thank you very much for that. So one of the things that I was thinking about from the impact of arrows, you did talk a little bit about that in terms of the calls. I'm glad to hear that there is a improved perception of safety in downtown. What are the other tangible benefits are you seeing within the force? Are you seeing any reduction in workload of the other officers? You talked about, for example, patrol. Are you seeing that impact as well because of the arrow?
Yeah, anecdotally, in speaking with patrol members, they are commenting that they rarely come downtown now. Prior to the program, the sworn patrol members would be tasked to come downtown and take calls for service. They're saying now that they rarely come downtown, the AROs and the DST members, to handle all the calls for service downtown, unless it's outside of the working hours. So there's been a reduction for patrol in handling those calls. I can't say there's been a reduction in calls for service necessarily, because with the increased members downtown, we are creating more work. We're finding more things. The statistics are showing that. But we also have, we've seen an increase in recruitment where some of our members are now going on to be sworn members. So the ARO program is proving to be positive in a recruitment strategy for sworn members. And we're seeing a better quality of applicants to the ARO program now that they're out on the street and people know that they're there, and they're saying, I want to do that too.
Right. And what type of stuff are you hearing from the businesses downtown?
Oh, the feedback from business has been overwhelmingly positive. Lots of businesses are really appreciative of the increased presence. As I said, we do a lot of safety presentations to some of the crowns and some of the larger businesses. The employees are feeling much more confident being downtown at lunch hour, walking to their vehicles at night. They're very appreciative. It's been all positive so far. We've created a lot of partnerships with businesses downtown that we necessarily maybe didn't have before. I was just at a meeting yesterday with Dusk Energy, and they're looking to partner in some security ways as well. So it's been very positive.
Well, thank you for all the hard work. Go ahead, please.
First, I just want to highlight that Sergeant Alexander literally built this from the ground up, so thank you for that. You've done an amazing job. I've also heard overwhelmingly positive feedback from the ARO program and the downtown safety team. One quick question is, what's the best way for businesses that maybe haven't had a chance to have a conversation with you or your team to get a hold of the AROs or your team?
There's a number of ways. Ross, my partner, Sergeant Kauk, and I, we both field a lot of emails and calls directly to set up kind of meet and greets. We've done a couple meet and greets downtown through Artie Bid. We've set up some meet and greets where all the businesses are free to come and meet the team. I'm certainly open to people emailing me directly, and then of course if they need a call for services through the comm center.
Perfect. Thank you again for all your work on this.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Good morning. I'll echo the thanks. That's okay. Thought we'd let you go that easy? I'm sorry, I've got this blazing light in my face. I can see a blur of people here, and I feel like I'm in Las Vegas. Maybe I should sing a song with the microphone here. Take collection. I'm a big fan of the ARO program. When I first heard about it, I don't even think I was running for council. It was at a community meeting in the east end of the city, and Lori Bresciani was our chair at the time, and I met Chief Sheikh at the time, and they were talking about this. And when I started my campaign, I used to tell my volunteers, hey, you know what we're doing downtown? We need to tell people that. And even though I, have a ward that is in the corner of the city, the southwest corner, people were concerned about downtown security at the time. I'm very happy to say that that has turned around in a very big way. I know people who own buildings downtown, towers right beside Cornwall, and are there every day for breakfast and lunch, and they never say anything good to me. And they came up to me at my last coffee talk and said, "George, yeah, you cleaned up the downtown." I said, "I didn't do it," but, and so they're very, very pleased, and they don't offer congratulations very often, so I wanted to pass that on to you. Very well done. I had a little technical question, just in terms of the people that we took to the complex needs shelter, about 259 or so. This will probably, we were whispering about this, the mayor and I, while you were making your presentation, and I was wondering where those 259 people are. And I'm assuming we need to speak to the province about that and maybe try and get some statistics. And what I want to try and think about is, is there a vicious circle here? Are they in, out, or are there sort of supports for them to not be part of a vicious circle? Do you have any information about that?
No, it is, on one hand, it is a bit of a vicious cycle. We do see a lot of the same clients, but we do have success stories. There's been, I think, 3 that I know about. There's probably more, but one person we dealt with repeatedly was taken to a complex needs shelter a number of times, but actually accepted help on one of those occasions, and is now moved back to the reservation where he lives. He's working, he's reconnected with his family, and he works at the gas station in the community, which is a big success because it was someone we dealt with all the time. We do partner with, there's a couple different outreach teams that even when we take people to the needs shelter, there's an addiction team that we will call if they're ready for help.
Yeah.
We just keep trying. I don't have the statistics on that, but I think the needs shelter might have more of that.
Okay, maybe we'll...
Counselor, if I might just add a couple comments there. Certainly, our belief is that if somebody is in the complex needs facility, they're not out on the street subject to victimization or potentially victimizing other people. And so, I think even the fact for the number of hours that they are there safe in a bed is a success story for us. We understand that the cycle of addiction sometimes takes numerous attempts before someone is ready to move on, and so even the story that Sergeant Alexander highlighted, I think, is a success in terms of the overall program. But the fact that somebody isn't in our detention facility where they're not receiving any type of supports. At the complex needs facility, they're getting a warm meal, they're getting a shower, they're talking to someone about, what does the future look like? Can we help you with housing? Can we help you with addictions? Those are the types of things that we don't have the capacity to offer. And really, for many folks, the only option outside of the complex needs facility was a cell in our detention area, which I think we can all agree isn't the best option. So we appreciate that we may be taking the same folks there a number of times, but it is a better option than what they previously had.
Thanks for that. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning. I just want to, through you, highlight what are the hours that the officers are working so that the public know that they are safe early in the morning and late at night while they're out there in the downtown area.
Yeah, currently we have a combination. We have 7-day coverage, and the day shift is 6:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. And we have a second team that come on from noon and they work until 10 p.m. We put a proposal in to extend the hours to a more balanced approach. We were hearing that there were days when we had less officers just because of numbers. We've now bolstered our numbers higher, so we put in a proposal to work 12-hour shifts, which has just recently been approved. So in January of 26, we'll be moving to 6:30 to 6:30 days and noon to midnight afternoons, 7 days a week. So we'll have a more balanced approach with the same number of officers working each day.
Awesome. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? All right. Can I have a motion to receive and file the report, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you for the report. All right, next one is PO 25-27, RPS Monthly Crime Statistics. Chief, can you introduce the report, please?
You bet, absolutely. So I'm happy to report that overall crime is significantly lower, down 15.8% compared to the last period last year. Both categories of crimes against the person and crimes against property have shown decreases over last year. Despite those decreases, we had obviously an increase in homicides. We're happy to report we've had charges laid in all of those instances. And I feel a little bit like a broken record, but arsons continue to be a little bit of a pressure point for us. We're continuing to work on that, and we're hopeful that we will make some inroads, but it has been a little bit of a struggle in the fact that it is quite often witnessless crime. I do want to highlight some of our traffic numbers. You'll see that traffic tickets and warnings are up significantly compared to last year. And part of that is that our traffic safety unit alone is fully staffed. They wrote almost 1,000 more tickets this August than last August, and so that is obviously a signal of very high productivity. And also, we utilized a motorcycle now in our traffic safety unit. That was a new introduction, and we've seen a lot of success in curbing folks from using their cell phone while they're driving. So again, that has been a win for us, I would say, in that regard. Don't really have anything else specific that I want to highlight, but certainly happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Go ahead.
Arsons, arsons, arsons. I think I'm the one who asked the question last time. I don't want to let this go. It's like a dog with a bone in his mouth. It must cost a whole lot more for us to respond to this than putting up a camera. Like, I can start with that.
Well, I think the trick will be putting the camera in the right location. I mean, arsons are spread throughout the city. Obviously, bin fires happen more in, back alleys, obviously, with the location of the bins. I think the trick would be finding the right location. And then the other piece of it is, are we, is the resolution good enough that we can actually identify someone's face to be able to identify them? And I think we've highlighted previously that, sort of the punishment for those starting garbage bin fires, although, it's good for us to figure out who it is, hold them responsible, that the penalty sometimes is not very significant, and so we might find them back out on the street next day. So, would there be some benefit to that? I think if we could find the right location and, even as a deterrent to say, have a sign saying, this alley is monitored, potentially, that could be a savings for us in that regard. But I think it would be tricky to make sure that they were placed in the right spots.
And in terms of the law, is that something the province can help us with, or is that going to be a federal responsibility?
Yeah, I think that's that's federal, that's provincial, that's a bunch of layers, and essentially it's a mischief right now. So, damage to property and similar. So it's like the chief said, it's the outcome. It's really not much right now. So whatever lobbying is available, that would be great. But it might be difficult to change that approach.
Okay.
I think some of the things that we can do, and I know we have a committee, our arson investigator is working with the city, Regina Fire and Protective Services, around sort of taking away those opportunities. So in the areas that we know are hotspots, can we get, a little bit more frequent garbage pickup so that those bins, don't look quite as inviting? I think that is a piece that is a quick win for us if we're able to do that. I know our analysis unit can provide us with hotspots in terms of where we're seeing the highest prevalence of these bin fires, and so certainly we could provide that information. And so I think, in terms of the bin fires, that's probably something relatively easy we could do that might help reduce those numbers. And then, if we're talking about the large majority of, I would say, structures we find are vacant houses, obviously that's a big issue in terms of, getting those houses that have been boarded up, demolished, that type of thing. And I know that there's a big process, and I know that City Council is working on that and City Administration as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good, Robert.
I think it's valuable to highlight that the RPS has had another, great narcotics seizure here. I'm looking at 7.7 kilos of meth, 2.8 kilos of fentanyl, and 1.3 kilos of cocaine. I mean, it's disparaging to see that the narcotics continue to find themselves in the community, but it's equally encouraging to see that month over month over month we are seeing substantially large seizures of this nature. Which is good, and it's helping reduce overdoses and deaths in that regard. So again, thank you for that work, and well done. Any trends that we're noticing on the part of the homicides? I do see an increase there from 4 to 8 over last year.
Yeah, homicides are one of those tricky things that they're hard to prevent, right? There's so many different reasons for homicides to occur. Sometimes it's domestic conflict that results in a homicide. Sometimes it's associated with gang or drug activity. And so they're hard to prevent, obviously. We rely on our investigative units, our gang unit, our drug unit, to do that work that they do behind the scenes to identify people in the city who are, causing problems in terms of community safety and hold them accountable. And so I know that those units work very hard to ensure that those sort of top folks that are causing problems, are held accountable. But in terms of, the prevention piece, it's really hard to do. And in terms of trends, I would say that there isn't really anything that we could point to. They're one of those things that are cyclical. Some years we have very few, and some years we have a lot, and there isn't really any sort of rhyme or reason that we can point to as to why those numbers fluctuate like that. I think the biggest thing that I would highlight is that our major crimes units do an excellent job of finding out who's responsible and laying charges, and so that's certainly been the case this year as well.
Wonderful, thank you. I'll maybe conclude by saying that the city's growing year over year population-wise, and nonetheless, with the hire of new officers, constables, we're seeing a continual decrease in crime. So, at least from my vantage point, it looks like things are capitalizing that way. So, thank you.
I have some comments to offer. Last night I was with the ride along, and although I couldn't spend the whole night with Officer Billy, however, not that I was very much surprised because I've been on the board from last 5 years, but I would say that for general public as well, there's a couple of things. There's people involved. There's tools available right now. The policing have changed so much. Some work in favor of the safety, some are not so much in that being social media, because sometimes there is some negative perception about that. I think what I would say is that RPS members are very compassionate. They are very convicted to do a good job on that, and sometimes, sadly, on their personal sacrifices, family sacrifices, and all that. So I would encourage member of the public to think about that as well. And ride along, I think, is a good opportunity for you to put yourself into their shoes and really get the feeling about that. As I said, I've been on the board from the last 5 years. Other than arson, of course, Councillor Siklik has stolen my thunder, because I was the one who always talked about arson in the past. But given that, we know the reasons why, and while there is more work to be done, but I'm very encouraged to see the lot of decrease in crime statistics year over year, month over month. So while we need to keep that down, we still have a lot more work to do. However, it is very clear to me that some of the tools that are available out there, such as Plane, we got Arrow as a good opportunity for us to, continue to make sure that we do that. So I just want to thank you, all of you, for being there for us and, making sure that we are safe and you are safe as well. So that's important. So thank you. Does anybody have any other comments, questions on this? Hearing none, can I have a motion to receive and file the report, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, hearing none, carried. Can I have a resolution for the private session, please? Thank you. I'll call the question. Anyone opposed? Carried. We'll recess for 20 minutes for the media's come. Thank you.